Over the last few weeks, I've shared my own data. 8 weeks, fat down, muscle up, waist down at 40. And I know what some of you are thinking. Yeah, but you're a coach, you live in the gym, of course it works for you. Fair point. So this week, I want to show you what happens when you apply the exact same system to someone who doesn't live in the gym, someone with a desk job, a commute, and a life that looks nothing like mine. Let me address this head on. When a coach shares their own results, there's always a credibility gap. You think this person has all the advantages. They know exactly what to eat. They have access to a gym all day. They're not stressed about deadlines or skill runs. And you're mostly right. I do have some advantages, but the method has to work on people who don't. Otherwise, it's not a method, it's just a lifestyle. The whole point of a coaching system is that it transfers, that it works in real lives, not just in ideal conditions. So this week, I'm sharing the result of one of our members who isn't a coach, who isn't an athlete, who is an adult with a full-time job, a busy schedule, and all the normal constraints that come with being over 35 in Ireland. Over 6 weeks, this member lost 4.5% body fat, over 2 kilos of body weight came off her, and this is the part that matters. Their training performance improved during the block, not declined. That last point is important because if your body is falling apart during a fat loss phase, the deficit is too aggressive or the structure is wrong. When it's set up properly, you should actually feel stronger as the weeks go on, not weaker. So what did they actually do? They trained 3 times a week in our small group coaching sessions. They followed the program. They didn't add extra sessions on the side. They didn't do any bonus cardio. They hit the protein target most days, not perfectly every single day, most days. That's realistic for someone with a full life. They didn't cut out carbs. They didn't skip meals. They restructured what they were already eating around the basics. More protein at breakfast, better options at lunchtime, a protein shake after training. Again, not perfect, but they treated it as a priority instead of an afterthought, and they trusted the process. Even in week 2 and 3, when the scales hadn't moved yet, this is the moment that makes or breaks every single fat loss phase. Week 2. The scales haven't moved. You've been doing everything right for 14 days, but the number hasn't changed. This is where most people bail. They assume that nothing is working, so they either restrict harder, which actually makes everything worse, or they quit entirely and try something different next month. What they didn't realize is that the waist was already coming down, their energy levels were up, training was feeling easier, sleep was improving, the data was moving, but just not the number that they were watching. If they quit in week 2, they would have missed the 4.5% body fat result that came by week 6. And this is why I keep talking about the scales. They're the single most destructive metric in fitness, especially for adults over 35. They make you quit things that are actually working. Let me put this side by side. My result, 8 weeks, 1.9 kilos of fat loss, 0.6 kilos of muscle gained, waist down by 3.2 centimeters at 40. My client's results, 6 weeks, 4.5% body fat lost, over 2 kilos of body weight down, performance improved. Different people, different lives, different starting points, but the same system. The principles were identical. Structured strength training, protein prioritized, a slight calorie deficit, recovery managed, no extremes. That's the point. The system transfers. It's not dependent on me being a coach or them being a beginner or anyone having perfect conditions. It works because it accounts for real life. It expects disruption. It doesn't require perfection. It requires the right inputs done consistently. I know this sounds boring, and it is. Nobody wants to hear that the answer is protein, structured training, recovery, and sleep. There's no secret, there's no hack, there's no 7-day challenge that transforms everything, but that's exactly why it works, because the basics done consistently inside a proper structure will always outperform that exciting thing done for 3 weeks and then abandoned. Every result I've shared over the last month and more, mine and this members, came from the same boring fundamentals applied consistently inside a structure that told them what to do and when. The exciting part isn't the method, it's the result. So if you've been listening to this podcast over the last few weeks and thinking that makes sense, but I'm not sure it would work for me, this week's episode is the answer to that question. It can work for coaches, it can work for adults with busy jobs, it can work for busy parents, it can work for people who've felt stuck for years when the system matches their life. If you're ready to find out what 6 to 12 weeks structured could do for your body, DM me the word rebuild on Instagram and I'll send you the application. And if you're local to Carnford and you want to train in a small group coaching environment, the same environment that this member trained in, DM me info. If you can do me a favour and send this episode to someone who's been telling themselves their body has stopped responding, because it hasn't. The system just needs to match their lifestyle. Chat to you next week.